All right, I've been getting this question a lot. I think it's the summer season right now, so people might have thirstier plants than normal, but a lot of people are asking how often should I water my plants? And the quick answer is there is no one right answer. It's different for every plant and every pot. And anyone who tells you there's a weekly routine to it is lying, or they just don't have enough experience. Um, Doing it consistently like that is the most surefire way to lead to overwatering, which is the biggest problem for house plants. So the golden rule is to water when your plants need it. And I'm going to work on teaching you how to do that because I understand that I'm not giving you an answer to how there is no black and white answer to how often should you water your plants. So if you don't have a soil moisture meter, the simplest way is a two-finger test where you just stick two of your fingers an inch, 2 inches into the soil and see if it feels dry or not. A soil moisture meter will tell you that for you and take the guesswork out of it. But I understand not everyone has one of those. So the two-finger test is the next best way. And what you're going to do is stick your finger in 2 inches and then determine if it feels dry or not. If it still feels moist, leave your plant go. It doesn't need water yet. If it feels dry, then you can start to determine if you need to water it. If your plant's a succulent or a cactus, they want to completely dry out. They need long times between watering. They hate having their roots wet. So you need to make sure that A, you have soil that drains really well, and B, that you actually give it enough time to drain. Now, if you've got ferns or other tropical plants, those need to be watered a lot. They're from the rainforest, so drying out to them is their soil just feeling a little sticky or a little moist when you stick it in. Most other house plants, think ivies, snake plants, they are pretty adaptable. They can handle brief periods of overwatering, think the summer, but they can also handle drying out a bit more than something like a fern would be able to. So what I would say from there is you want your plant to feel dry. If it constantly feels wet, then the soil's never drying out enough for oxygen to get down in, and you're essentially drowning your plant, not giving it the oxygen it needs. So the only area where this is different is if you're starting a seedling. So seedlings, young plants, they want to be constantly wet. They actually do better getting water every day. So let's talk about some signs of underwater versus overwatered because they can be a little bit similar. Both instances, your plant doesn't look too happy. But in an underwatered plant, it's going to be droopy leaves, and then maybe some crispy brown edges around the edge of the leaves, or even seeing some soil pull away from the pot. If it's overwatered, you're going to have yellow leaves and then kind of mushy stems, and the soil is going to feel soggy. Those plants need to just be taken to an area where they can get better ventilation or air out some. The type of pot you have your plant in is also going to impact it. So clay pots and terracotta pots, they are porous, so air actually gets in through the pot and can dry them out a little bit quicker. That's good if you're the type of person who overwaters, but if you're the type of person who forgets to water, that's even worse, and you'd be better off with plastic or ceramic pots. They are not porous, so the moisture stays in. So if you're the type of person who likes to water less frequently, go with the plastic or glazed ceramic ones. Another way to help is, or let's talk about the different seasons. So in the summer, when it's long days, a lot of plants water usage or water needs go up. So you should be watering more seasonally in the spring and summer. And then in the fall and winter, the plants usually start to go dormant. They will still need water. They just need way less, and there's less hours of sunlight and such to kind of dry the soil out. Now, if it's a fully indoor plant and you've got your heat running high, that could be a different factor. You might still need to water it a little bit more deeply on occasion just because you've got a lot of dry out happening from lack of humidity in the air. But in general, overwatering in the winter is what kills the most plants as they get root rot. There's two types of ways to water your plants, and either work. They both have pros and cons. So, top watering is how most of us are familiar with it, with a watering can or just a glass that you pour from the top. The issue there is that you get a bit of water on the leaves, and that can be problematic for certain varieties. So, a way to prevent that would be soaking or bottom watering the plant, and that has its pros. You know, you can much more deeply water a plant that way, but it does take longer. It's messier. It has more components to it. But that could be a very nice way to water some of the more sensitive plants. Snake plants are actually one of the more sensitive ones for getting water on their leaves. Another way to take some guesswork out of it, I mentioned, was the soil moisture meter, but also you can buy pots now that do the bottom watering for you. So they have a reservoir in the bottom and the plant soaks up water as it needs it. So this could be another good one for people who like to overwater. This way it makes sure that they don't get too much. So that would be another one if you want to use like some of the new technology and tools that have helped making it a little bit easier. One of the next biggest questions I get are tap water. Is it safe for plants? The answer is yes. Almost everyone uses tap water, so the fact that everyone has plants still alive means it's safe for most. There are sensitive species, and if you ever tried keeping a Venus flytrap alive, you've probably killed it, and it probably came at the fault of the chlorine in your water. So the carnivorous plants are also fussy when it comes to chlorine. So the answer is yes, tap water is safe for most plants. There are certain species, though, that you would be better off using distilled water. Morning is always the best time of day to water for anything outside or inside plants. And the reasoning is you want the leaves dry for evening. That's when molds and funguses grow best. So keeping the leaves dry that time of day is important. And then overwatering, what most people do. How do you know if you did it? Yellow leaves, mushy stems. Sometimes the dirt has a musty smell. You get fungus gnats down there in the soggy soil laying their eggs. So yeah, that's what most people get. And how do you save it? You can try and take it to quit watering it, but then you can try and take it to an area that's better ventilated, has some sunlight, has some airflow. That can try and dry out the soil a little bit. The problem is in those ceramic or plastic pots, it's an enclosed environment, and if those roots have root rot, they're not really soaking up any water. You might have to transplant it and pull the plant out, give it fresh, dry soil, and that can help save those remaining roots in a real bad case where you've got it in a plastic or ceramic pot, because you're just not going to get it to dry out quick enough. I hope that answered your questions. If not, go ahead, go to the Grounded Homestead, and you can get my email, send me a message, sign up for our garden notes. We'll send you weekly tips with how to keep your garden and your homestead operating efficiently. Until next time.